Hello YouTube, welcome back to Operation Laythe here in Kerbal Space Program, episode 14. Now from last time all I've done is transfer my fuel and from the lander stage of our Duna lander up into the interplanetary transfer vehicle. I've collected all my science into the lander capsule, so now we are ready to get rid of this lander portion to lighten up our return load. So thank you for serving us well, but we do not need you anymore. There's no room for sentimentality in spaceflight. There it goes, left to drift away as in Kerbal orbit, or rather Duna orbit, as a monument to our achievement. Alright, that's enough excitement over our successes. It's time to get ready for our return trip. So, as we did on the way out here, we're going to go ahead and put Corbus here back into the hitchhiker module for a nice, safe, comfortable trip back home as commanded by the unmanned capsule. There we go. There he is. He's all settled in. He is ready to go home. I'm not entirely sure what the best positioning is for returning back to Kerbin. So you know what? It was, 90 degrees ahead for coming back. It seems like we're dropping down. Kerbin's about 90 degrees ahead of us again. Makes sense to me. I don't know if that's right or not. But what we are going to do is where the first time we came out going in the same direction as the planet we were leaving. This time we want to go out in the opposite direction, thus slowing down our velocity and sending us back in the general direction, at least, of home. So we're going, let's just push it all the way, see if we get lucky and get an encounter. That'd be awesome. Nope, no such luck there. Maybe we're not in the best spot for this. So the orbit's going that way. Let's turn it like that. Try to get our exit as directly opposite Duna's line of motion as possible. See, that improved our periapsis quite a bit for the same amount of fuel. So we're actually going to bring that back up. Sort of do the opposite of what we did coming out here. So we'll go like that. Set Kerbin as the target. We'll adjust on the orbit. And we are ready to go. Let me go ahead and pull those parachutes out and give them their own stage. Just because we don't want to accidentally activate them. The parachute in space, doesn't do you a whole hell of a lot of good. Whoa, okay. Oh, I still have the fine controls on from the previous episode. That's why. Because you will be able to watch these episodes in separate times. I have filmed them, however, back to back. So that's why that happened. In any case, this actually, this totally unintentionally, this maneuver is only happening 2 minutes out from when I plotted it. I had no idea that this would end up being the plan, but it is. So we are preparing to go, and our calculator's kind of freaking out there. As we get to, this is a 412 meter per second burn, so this is a fairly substantial burn. As we get to, well, here, you know what, we're only a minute and a half before the burn. I'm just going to run a test burn, just quickly throw these up to near full throttle. Okay, so about 50 seconds, which means we can burn at about T-minus 25. Alright, here we go. Heading home, Corbus. Hang on, buddy. Despite it being in space. Go figure. Alright, let's do it. Go back to orbit here, check out how we're doing. Alright, that's moving out nice. Should be Oh, we could almost have used Ike for a gravity boost or something, but that might have been more trouble than it was worth. You know, because then you'd have to wait for the timing to be right on Ike being in the right position, and it gives you one more thing to try to coordinate. Just do a quick correction of this. Alright, that's pretty darn good. This is just sort of our first run at it anyway. We'll have multiple correction burns to do, no doubt, as we leave Duna. Alright, so let's go back to Duna for just a minute as we wish it farewell. There we go, changing the camera. Sorry Duna, we are no longer in your orbit. We are on our way back into interplanetary space. Oh, look at our velocity relative to the planet going down as we get out here. That actually means that just what we wanted to is basically happening. We are leaving with a much lower velocity than we went in with. There we go. Off in the distance there. That's it. That's where we were. Okay, enough of that. Time to look back. Back to the future, I say. Haha! Reference. Oh boy. That was bad. Okay, in any case, let's just start doing things like this and see what our encounters look like. They do not look great, I'm not gonna lie. We may have to be in orbit here around the sun for a while, Corbus. I should be able to get an encounter at some point on the star. Should not have to do multiple orbits. Oh, something. Ooh, there we go. Okay. Yeah. We got 134 days. Okay, so it turns out I was wrong. We want to be just about opposite Kerbal when we exit, not 90 degrees from it. Okay. Time for extreme fast forwarding as we wait for, literally, for the planets to align. Yeah, so I better come up with something interesting to talk about while we're doing this, or we'll probably end up having to cut all this out. Yeah, let's see, I already talked last time about the radiation that astronauts face in interplanetary missions. And going out and coming back would be a couple of months each way for astronauts heading to the moon or someplace like that, or the moon, to Mars. Yeah, I don't know, there's obviously significant engineering challenges in doing such a mission like this in real life. Of course, things are closer together in the Kerbal system, and the engineering, while still present, is very much simplified from real life concerns. So, and we can always just make things, in Kerbal Space Program at least, ridiculously large, although even there you have a concern in a way, in that that will actually tend to cause the game to run poorly, let's say. You get large vehicles with many parts on them, and your frame rate's going to slow way down and things like that. So that's one of the main reasons I try to keep my vehicles simple. Even though in this game you could totally just keep stacking fuel tanks and engines all over the place in an attempt to make your vehicle more powerful, to make some of these long distance missions easier, if not easy. But it will make the game run quite slowly, as it has a lot of math to do in the background to make sure your bits aren't breaking off and things like that. Alright, so whatever, 30 minutes to our burn, close enough on the planetary scale of things. So we're just going to run the engines up. Now this is a fairly significant burn, 2 minutes long. back with about 10 seconds left in our burn here. Just trying to ease this in. And get ready to kill our burn. There we go. Aha! Alright, so now let's see what our... Alright, so that's quite a high periapsis. 14 million meters. We're just gonna fast forward a bit, get closer, and try to refine that. We do still have, if we go back out here, about a third, a little over a third actually, of our fuel left. Actually, did I do a crew report? No, we don't want to overwrite the existing crew report. Forget that. Let's not mess with it. We have our load of science. Let's not screw anything up by messing with it at this stage. Okay, so I'm trying to look at what our orbit's doing, and it looks like we're passing behind Kerbal, which is good because it's flipping us higher than we were before, which I believe means we're going behind it. I'm not sure if that's good or bad in this instance. I'm not sure how much of a difference it makes for us, actually. Alright, so let me try and see what happens if I start putting maneuvers on here. We do have a slight inclination difference. It's only about 0.1%, which isn't bad at all, but may prevent us from getting a super tight periapsis. Oop, that made it worse. Alright, we gotta try and get there a little earlier. Did that make it better? Nope, that made it worse too. Okay. So let's try something else. Let's try an inclination change. Let's see if that helps us at all. Nope, that says 18. Though it's pretty hard to read. And that makes it worse too. Ah! This is frustrating. Okay. We might just have to get to Kerbal orbit and then make a correction. Well, we should have plenty of fuel for it at least. We're getting quite close. Yeah, we're definitely passing behind Kerbal. You see, it's gonna come across in front of us. I can't even tell what that's doing. So I'm just gonna get back to our encounter and make a correction once we get there. We're gonna shoot through Kerbal's orbit pretty quick here if we don't do something. Very carefully trying not to pass behind it. Okay. Oh, actually, that's closer than I thought it would be. That's actually not half bad. We're inside the orbit of Minmus, just not quite to the moon orbit. So it's actually pretty darn good. It's one of the better interplanetary intercepts. Look! There it is! There's home, Corbus. Oh, he's so happy. He's just thrilled that he's coming home. The little, blue ball over there. We can even see, that must be the moon. The moon must be pretty hard to see from this distance because it's pretty tiny. Cool. There we go. Alright, now that we're on orbit, let's go ahead and see what it takes to point us at Kerbal. Let's try the direct approach. There we go. That was actually pretty efficient. Just redirecting this to basically crash us into the planet. And then we'll get Corbus down into the return capable lander can here. And this whole portion will just destroy itself in the atmosphere and not leave any debris in orbit. Alright, so we're just fast forward to our burn time. Whoop, I passed it. Damn. Okay, we'll just do this burn from this view anyway, so we can see what's happening. Again, we should have more than enough fuel to do this. And we should have plenty of time to correct. Sometimes these calculations end up off a little bit, but we're already in orbit, so this should be pretty good. A lot of times when you transfer from one sphere of influence to another, you find that all the numbers have changed on you. And then you just hope that it's not enough to have made a difference one way or the other. In this case, we should be pretty good. Alright, so let's just ease this down. We could even come straight down, but I feel like we should try to come in at a slightly lower, or a steeper, shallower, rather, angle, so we're not just slamming down into Kerbin. We'll pretend as if this is actually a thing that matters in Kerbal Space Program, just in case in the future they change it to the point where it does. There is a mod that provides lethal, potentially lethal re-entry, and I don't know exactly what rules it uses to do that, but I know it's out there. I haven't tried it myself. Okay, now, just to be safe, we're going to go ahead and move Corbus down to the lander can right now. Just in case things kind of happen fast as we're getting close to Kerbin, we want to be ready to get him to safety. So that's how we're going to do that. We're coming, Kerbin. We are coming. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit, get close to our re-entry. Here we go. Here we go indeed. Look how close. Excellent. Alright, so we want to make sure, set back to real time. We want to make sure we're controlling from here so that when we detach, we stay with Corbus. We don't want him crashing into the atmosphere and something unfortunate happening while we're in control of the robotic portion. And we're going to go ahead and turn him around so that he's oriented correctly for re-entry. Not that it actually matters, we don't really have a heat shield, but it will help us stay stable when the parachutes deploy. And we're going to go ahead and watch the re-entry from this angle. Woo! There we are! Yeah, we're going to come in quite fast. It's going to be a very, very hot re-entry. Okay. Yeah. Let's burn a little extra, just to make sure. And this will slow down our re-entry speed. Just out of curiosity, what is this doing to our interplanetary orbit if we were to keep going out? Yeah, this is kind of whipping us back out. Irrelevant, I say. I'm sorry about flipping around there so much, trying to look at too many things at the same time. Ooh, it looks like we're going to come down even in the water here, potentially. It'd be really great if we could land right at the Kerbal Space Center, but that might be a bit aggressive of a thing to try for. Alright, now we are still high over Kerbin, but I think I'm going to go ahead and detach the transfer stage now. Even with all its fuel left in, it's going to just crash anyway. We got an interesting light bug going on there. But I think I want to be nice and far away from it when we enter the atmosphere, because I'm not quite sure what's going to happen in terms of drag on one part or the other. So I'm going to just give this a quick burn to separate them, and then switch back over to Corbus. Alright, now we get to wish goodbye to our transfer stage as well. It, unlike the lander, will not be a permanent memorial. It will be a smoking crater. Or possibly just vapor in the atmosphere. I'm not entirely sure which. Either way, we are done with it. It is a monument to Kerbin engineering or something. And soon it will become a permanent part of the Kerbin landscape. Or more likely the Kerbin oceanscape, as it will end up at the bottom of the ocean somewhere. Alright. Are you excited, Corbus? Show me excited. Yeah. Yeah. Here we go. You're about to be a planet-wide hero. Yeah, see, that's why I wanted to attach this before we got there. Look, it's got somehow less drag, or no, I'm sorry, it had more drag, so it dropped actually underneath us. Oh, look, there, its solar panels flew off. See the little bits that flew off kind of in this direction. Yeah, we are re-entering at 3 kilometers per second plus. Oh man, look at how much, he's taken 8 Gs almost here. He's a tough guy, he just went to another planet. Although 8 Gs after spending several months in 0 G on the way back from Duna, it's got to be pretty intense. But yeah, look how fast that speed comes down once you get in the atmosphere. Yeah, there we go. We got our return trajectory right in the ocean and everything. Well, alright, let's keep the SAS on. We don't want him flipping around and getting seasick or atmosphere sick. Alright, now here's his view from the capsule. Home! Home! I can see my house from here. At least you could if you lived along this coast. You could look at the ocean bottom there, I guess. There can't really be waves from this high up. Here we go. Coming back. Alright, fast forward. We know how this goes. Don't we? Boonk. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, it was trying to flip over. The parachutes probably mount slightly below the center of gravity. So we'll just go ahead and use the SAS to keep it upright. And there we go. This gives a nice slow, safe landing. Really slow. Really, one parachute would have been more than enough. I just wanted to keep it balanced. I want Corbus having to land on his side or something. Although, in retrospect, really, maybe should have just used one parachute. Couldn't use the one small chute on the end because I needed to have the disconnect there. But of all that stuff that we sent up into orbit over the course of several launches, this is the only bit that's coming back with all kinds of science, hopefully safe aboard. Alright, so let's cash this in. Oh, let's not hit abort. That'd be a shame at this point, wouldn't it? Go ahead and recover. Let's see what we got. 2,260 science total. We got almost 2,000 on that mission. Actually, we probably did get 2,000 on the mission because I did a couple of transmissions back from space. Very nice. Now the big one, of course, is the material science study from the surface. And there's some other good ones. The atmospheric data. The material study while high in space over Duna, also good. Mystery goo and high over the sun was surprisingly high. As well as the material study while high in space over the sun. So it's good science all around. Do quite a bit with that. So let's see what we can unlock with all that science we just got. Ooh, I think it might be time. Okay, before I forget, let's go ahead and get this bad boy, because this will let us do more science. Let's go ahead and spend 300 on that. And we can also run up here and spend 550 to get the gravioli detector and the sensor array computing nose cone. Which will be, so that's the last of our scientific instruments. Now I think we're going to go ahead and unlock some of these plane parts so we can start developing our space plane. Because if you recall, the objective from the start was to make a space plane to go to Laythe, not just any lander. So we're going to go ahead and get, here, this is a good one, turbojet engines and the ram air intake. And advanced aerodynamics. And we can even get the Cadillac of ground to space engines, the Rapier engine in the hypersonic flight. So that was a very successful mission. Got a lot of science, unlocked a lot of the stuff we need. And at this point, that's about all we can. With 100 science left, we can't really get anything else. Cheapest thing we got left is 160. So I think the next episode we will go ahead and build a surface to space vehicle that lands and takes off horizontally. Alright, so that'll be the end of this episode. If you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I am Southern Wolverine signing off from the Kerbal Space Center.